Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boom Bus channel, Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host Terry, and today we are going to talk the Bears. We're going to talk free agency. You know, I like to cover the league. Bears fans, cry me a river. Before we get started, I do want to say for those that have been following along, you might remember, or for those that are new, I am completing a doctorate program, so I am at the tail end of that. And so I am really putting my head down to the writing. So I'm committed to writing every day. I was going to talk about some of the Bear stuff last night, but the writing just got ahead of me. And so I had to wait till today. And then I want to finish what I was doing before I could talk about it. But it's fine. We got a lot of time before football, so it's cool. We can always catch up on everything. All right, so let's start number one with Jalen Johnson. So for those that have been listening, and for those that might be new or don't remember, go back. I've been covering contracts for at least the last 3 off seasons. And as I talk about being better Bears fans, all of it matters. The free agency trends and classes matter. The draft classes matter. The trends and contracts, all of it matters. It's the whole picture that affects the Bears. If you just want to show up and say, yeah, go Bears, that's fine. But for people that really want to be better Bears fans, you need to look at that stuff. And I say that to say that since Mahomes' contract, I've been talking about the trend of moving towards guaranteed money. And obviously, NFL players want guaranteed contracts, so they have some insurance in case they get hurt, but they're not doing anything to actually get them. And owners don't want that because they don't want to pay people who are hurt. But because of the economics and the rules, there has been a trend towards guaranteed money because the cap hit is less significant. And so that is kind of what we're seeing. I think a lot of casual fans will look at it like, who's the number one paid, number two, or where are you at in the list? And as I continue to say, do not look at that sports media talk. All they're talking about is the average annual salary. That means nothing. Now, I will give a special shout out to the Pat McAfee show that has been a huge ally or a huge proponent and like breaking down the BS that they do, because that's what fans do. Oh, they're the number one paid corner. Wipe my hands. That, you suck. You're not playing like the number one corner. That is so oversimplified and ridiculous. That means nothing. It's about the guaranteed money and the rest of it that's actually important. So I say that to say, I see some people say we got Jalen Johnson at a bargain because corners are making this. Number one, Jalen Johnson is not on their level. He is not an elite corner. And yes, I do understand that it's a part of the next man up. For the most part, whoever's next up, you're going to get the deal, the new deal. This ain't the old days. People reset the market every other contract. Unless you're, obviously if you're not really that type of guy, especially at a non-quarterback position, you're not going to reset the market. But for the most part, whoever's next up gets their money. So people see, well, Jalen's not the number one. Again, annual salary. So we got a bargain. That's not exactly true. And then some people who dig a little deeper say he got this much guaranteed money, which is way more than these other guys, which is true. And normally I would say that that's an indication. But at the same time, that's not because of Jalen Johnson. That's more so because of the cap rules and what the quarterbacks are doing. Because of the cap rules and what the quarterbacks are doing, you want to give more guaranteed money, and you will see across all these contracts this offseason, there's more guaranteed money because that is a way for teams to actually save money against the cap. So Jalen getting like 40 something guaranteed out of his $76 million contract might sound crazy to some people, but it's actually good for him, obviously, and it's good for the team. But as I said, and whenever I say he's overrated, so people get into this black and white society. Again, my listeners, you know how I am. We don't play the binaries. We get into the weeds of it. Because I'm saying you're overrated is not me saying you're bad or I'm hating. That's all people do. Any critique is a hate. You're a hater. No, it's called actual analysis. Jalen Johnson is a pretty good corner. He's not an elite corner. So that just bothers me whenever it's superstar corner, elite corner. No, he's not any of that. Do not get it twisted and think he's on the same level as some of these other guys. But either way, we bring him back. As far as the numbers and all that, look, he's 24. That's something you gotta remember. He do look a little grown, but you gotta remember he's 24. So even though the contract is friendly, because he'll be on the free agent block before he turns 30 again. You still get some of his prime years, which is cool. As I said before, I'd rather pay to have a smart, cohesive unit of 4 defenders, 2 safeties, 2 corners, than to pay a lot of money for an elite corner. So he isn't getting elite corner money necessarily. He is getting a lot of money, but the deal's fine. He comes back. To me, it was take it or leave it, to be honest. And the reason I say that is because he's just solid. Like, again, he's 24. He'll get more savvy and all that, like Stephon Gilmore, where you can, Pat Peterson, where you can still be effective even though you're older because you're just veteran. But he's not a top athlete, and he's not going to become a top athlete. So to me, do I get a corner out of this group or next year that's a real top athlete that I can build to be, play their role? I'm fine with that. Bringing Jalen back, I'm fine with that too, because Tyreek Stevenson is on a mid-round rookie deal, and he's going to give us a lot of service going forward. So speaking of the secondary, we bring in Byard. So everybody wants to know how I feel about that. I love Kevin Byard, prototypical middle of the field, deep safety, much like an Earl Thomas in his prime. Now, what he is in his last few years with Tennessee, this year with the Eagles, I don't know. I would have to go to tape. And to be honest, I don't know that I'll have time to do that. I mean, we got a long time for the season, so maybe in July, August, I could do that. But I don't know. Obviously, the Titans got rid of him. The Eagles didn't bring him back. So, and we got him at a cheap contract, so it's not like he cost a lot. So to me, much like some of the other people will discuss, the market tells you a lot. And sometimes a team has a specific role for a player and they're willing to do what the market's not willing to do. I don't think that's the case here. I think they're going to plug him where Eddie Jackson was. And obviously on their evaluation, they think he can still do it. I haven't seen it to have an evaluation, so I don't know. I know he's had that type of career, but he is on the back end of that career. On top of that, I would say what I watched from him live against the Chiefs was excellent. And that was a game plan where he followed Kelsey, beat him up on the line, and kind of was the first level of defense to their double coverage. And he was excellent at it. Obviously, that's not what we're going to ask him to do a lot, but obviously he could play a role. Now, can he play the role of deep middle safety? I don't know. It's tough. Safety is a very weird spot right now. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but we saw what's going on with the safeties in this league. Safeties in general in terms of drafts usually aren't drafted high, and they usually don't become really good till later in their years. Safety is a tough spot right now. But prototypical free safety. So until I watch the tape, he does feel a need. Some people like, oh, this secondary is elite and so nasty. I don't know about that. I think we'll see, because the ugly truth that fans don't want to realize, but owners have realized real fast, is that players fall off a cliff, and it's not always due to them or anything else. It just happens, and so you don't know when it's going to happen. And some teams rather be too early than too late. Belichick is one of the king of those. And so it's very possible Byard might be falling off a cliff. It might be possible he's still got a few good years in him. So we'll have to see on that. But I got to watch the tape to see how he did with Philly. Obviously, statistically, Philly still was giving up tons of yards once he got there. But that's okay. No one player in the secondary is going to change anything. I see people like a Skip Bayless will argue that, well, he didn't change life for Philly. Yeah, because as I said, you need a 4-man unit that is smart. That one person, that one good safety, that one elite corner, that's not going to get it in this NFL anymore. So we'll see what happens with that. I still think we need a nickel. And let me refresh my Twitter while I'm talking. CJGJ's out there. I don't like him for the locker room, to be honest, but he is out there, so maybe, I don't know. But we could be looking at somebody in the draft for that as well. But we also more than likely might go with Kyler Gordon, who was a high draft pick for polls. And people want to continue to act like he's good at nickel, even though he's not. So that's that. Moving on. So the whole discussion about Ryan Bates. I guess everybody seemed to forget that we were trying to get Ryan Bates last year, and we weren't able to get him, or maybe the year before, either way. But I know polls attempted to get Ryan Bates, and I forgot what it was. Maybe he's a restricted free agent, but the Bills end up keeping him. And so once I saw that, I was like, okay, that reminds me of something. Now, 5th round, again, this is a draft where you probably want some late round capital. But 5th round, I'm not going to cry foul over for him. But the starter gets the job, or the starter ahead of him gets cut right after that, so everybody's going crazy. I'm not going to make a big deal of it. It's not ideal, but I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. The Bills are cutting costs. More than likely, first of all, if you wanted Mitch Morris, that's one thing. But nobody was thinking about Mitch Morris. It wasn't until we got Bates that everybody now seemed to care what happened to Mitch Morris and what that means for polls. I'm not really going to dive into that. For me, I look more so because Ryan Bates is a swing guy, and people don't care about depth, especially at positions of need. He might start. He more than likely might start, depending on what else we can get. But he might just be a depth player, and sometimes that matters. And with the O-line, the fans do not care. They're going to act like they care now, but 99% of the fans, if Ryan Bates was to sub in throughout every game of next season, they would have never noticed. So having depth absolutely matters. And that might end up being why they want to get 5th round for a solid veteran depth guy. And so either that, or he starts and he's not good, or he never starts, whatever. It's a 5th round pick. I'm not going to go up in arms about it. Now, one thing I don't like, and some people might say this is in the same category of not a big deal, but for me, we get DeAndre Swift. And before we even talk about the running back room, what happened was the Packers signed Josh Jacobs. They couldn't get a deal done with Aaron Jones. And so for a second, it seemed like they were, because A.J. Dillon, I believe, is a free agent. So it's for a second, it seemed like the Packers were going to run Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs. But they actually cut Aaron Jones because they couldn't get to a deal. So for me, I'm like, man, if we literally would have just waited like 30 minutes, Aaron Jones would have been on the market. Now, funny enough, you can believe it or not, this is literally why I do my podcast, because people won't believe anything unless you have proof. But last night I was looking at the running back free agency group, and because I know everybody's talking about Saquon, and again, I'm like, why does everybody think we need a running back? I'll get to that in a second. And I looked at the group and I said, probably out of this group, the one I would go after in terms of age, production, injury, and all that, it's probably DeAndre Swift. And lo and behold, that's who we get. Now, the actual deal doesn't mean much. I mean, the average comes out to about $8 million a year, which, again, all the running backs last year were fighting to get to $10 million a year. So $8 million a year is well below the top grade. On top of that, people are talking about the guaranteed money. As I mentioned before, guaranteed money is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. I don't understand why people would be like, I don't know. It's weird how people bash owners and say everything against owners. But when it comes to paying players, now all of a sudden they're mini owners. We don't want to give you guaranteed money. Why not? Let that player get paid. And so it helps the cap situation anyway. The more we can guarantee it, the less of the cap hit we can have on that average annual salary. So anyway, he gets the guaranteed money, not a big deal. Average $8 million a year, not a big deal. But it's still, even the cap has increased, and I acknowledge that too. Still, when you're building a team, I wouldn't say every dollar counts, but every million counts. And so would I have tied up money into a running back looking at our team? Absolutely not. We've had the discussion about the running back market. They're about to be like a little better than kickers, where it's just musical chairs. As you saw, okay, Packers let Aaron Jones, a good running back, go. We brought in Josh Jacobs. Okay, we let the Tennessee Titans let Derrick Henry, a good running back, go, bring in Tony Pollard. Okay, the Eagles couldn't get Swift, so they went and got Saquon. And we'll see who the Giants get. And it's just a musical chair. So that's not a position I'm putting value in. Now, look at the fact that Foreman was very effective, albeit, I mean, he was effective in zone, but albeit probably not necessarily a zone runner as like primary when you think about him. And make no mistake, I'd be shocked. I'm willing to put my house on it that we will be a zone run heavy team. We already were. And then the McVay / Shanahan style is a zone blocking scheme. So we're going to be a zone heavy team. Then you get the rookie. So you get him in next year. He's cheap. And then you got Herbert, who we know plays pretty decently too. As I said before, the reason the running back market is the way it is because you can get the production of one back between 2 to 3 backs. And if you build up the O-line, you can bring in somebody and play well. Now, I might be oversimplifying it, so I might be guilty. But as somebody that's been evaluating this for a long time, and again, I get there's difference in elite traits with running backs, but at the end of the day, if you have an athlete that is behind a great O-line, I have to believe they can produce. That's all. That's it. And that's just how I feel at the end of the day. So for me to think we couldn't get another rookie running back, because all three are running backs under contract. So for some reason, we wanted to move on from somebody. Shane Waldron doesn't like a certain player, wants a different type. I can't believe out of all the running backs, we couldn't get a 6th round or a mid round, whatever, maneuver to get a 5th round, 4th round, 6th round running back. And they can be good with Herbert and the rest of the group. I just, there's no way I could believe that's true. So to pay capital, even though it's decent capital, to pay capital for a running back, a quote unquote lead back, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. And I'm not going to knock what Swift did with the Eagles or what he did with the Panthers. That's Miles Sanders. That's who I kept thinking of, not the Panthers. So he was with the Lions, then he went to the Eagles. Not to knock anything he did with either of those teams. To me, he's the youngest, probably up there in explosion. So I said that's probably who I would go after. But that's if I had to. If it was up to me, I'm going to the draft, or I'm getting a second wave running back, or I'm sticking with my group. There's no way I'm paying money. Like all these people were saying, we're going to get Saquon. And it's funny, real quick note, how all these fans get online bashing the media. Oh, the media is so wrong. They said this. Remember when they said this? The fans never check themselves. They say all types of crazy stuff. Everybody's like one big chorus. It's like a choir in here. We are getting Saquon and Caleb and Roma Dunze. And it's like, no, you don't know what you're talking about either. So anyway, we don't go for Saquon, but we still pay money to get Swift. And I just think that was a mistake. I'm not going to say a colossal mistake, but it was a mistake. All right, so then we move towards some of the things that I was happy about. We got Christian Wilkins going to the Raiders, and we avoided that. Thank God. Because, look, I'm not saying that Christian Wilkins is a bad player. That's not what I'm saying. But people hear these things and they kind of go with the surface level. We need a 3 tech. We need a 3 tech. Okay. People can say whatever you want about my ability to analyze. There's one thing you are never, ever going to catch me slipping on, and that is D-line evaluation. I don't play that. That is my bread and butter. And so I watch Christian Wilkins coming out of Clemson. Do I watch every game with the Dolphins? No. Have I seen him? Yes. And I know that Christian Wilkins is good at certain things, but he is not. Despite what the money might say and all that, he is not Aaron Donald. He is not Chris Jones. He is not Quinn Williams. He's not Jared Allen. He's Jonathan Allen. I always do that. He's not those guys. Is he good? Yes, I know he's a good player. But people really just look at highlights and don't understand what they're talking about. Because once again, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And particularly with 3 techs, first of all, I don't care about pressure rate, success rate, all that. I don't. Because how do you determine that? What I do care about, I care about pressure, but I don't care about people's stats that they make up. Because pressure is, you making that stat up. However, I care about watching the film and no pressure. True pressure. And if you are a 3 tech that is at the top, that's probably, I wouldn't say the biggest, but I would say the biggest beauty of that position is that you impact pressure. Like, somebody can have a 10-sack season and not necessarily be a great pass rusher, and people don't understand that. They see a number and they're like, okay, you must be this. No, down in and down out. Who is somebody that disrupts the pocket, that literally changes what the quarterback can do down in and down out. Now, obviously, it's not 100%, but we mean a consistent force in disrupting the pocket, whether it be power or quickness. And Christian Wilkins isn't that. He's a hustle guy. He's a quick guy. He's an athlete, 100%. But he's not Grady Jarrett. He does not have what those guys have. The top guys, which is very hard to get, have the combination of explosion, quickness, power, and technique that is almost impossible to defend. And that's why they are paid the way they are. And so people can say whatever they want about Christian Wilkins, but line up and tell me who's taking Wilkins over Quinn Williams, over Allen, over Chris Jones, over Aaron Donald. You not, because he doesn't have the same skill set. So I'm glad we avoided that trap. Congrats to him for getting the bag. If people don't remember, this is the guy that was sticking fingers in people's booty in Clemson, and he had a weird reputation. So congrats to him for climbing up to make himself a top 100 pro and getting that money. But nah, I'm glad we didn't pay for that. To me, honestly, the guys we got, like I forgot their names, but to me, those guys are cool. Those guys are fine. Where you got guys that are power pigs, and that's pretty much explosive guys that are going to push the pocket. That stuff is cool, always needed. You get some guys that are more power rushers, like a Bilal Nichols back in the day, all that stuff to me is cool. But I'm not paying top dollar, or I'm not paying top draft capital unless I can get me one of those true 3-techs. Now, I've been on the other side of the discussion of Carter, I can't remember his first name, from last year. But that's typically how it goes, man. I say one thing, the fandom backlashes, it plays out, people go all the way 180, and then I have to try to temper expectations, so somehow I end up on the opposite of the argument. But either way, like a Carter, obviously, if he was the type of player and person that matches the investment, I would have been banging the table to get him, because that is what I'd rather chase. I'd rather chase someone in a draft like that, or if someone's in their prime on free agency, which doesn't happen. And once again, no shade to Wilkins. He might be great in Las Vegas, but people make it to free agency for a reason. And so if a Q Williams got to free agency, yes, I'll chase that. I'll put a big contract up for him. If I got a Q Williams in the draft, yes, I'll throw away some capital to go get him. Because this is pretty much kind of like quarterbacks. This ain't running backs. Running backs, yeah, I could pull a 6th-round guy and he's going to be the guy. But you rarely can pull a 6th-round 3-tech that's going to be the guy. You have to get them in premium spots. And Wilkins was not one of the guys that I would have chased that much money for. So I'm glad we didn't do that. Now, Geno Stone goes to the Bengals on an excellent deal. The thing with Geno is he started out as a special teamer. And so he obviously draft status matters. And that's one thing that Brock Purdy taught me this year, which I thought was weird because, it's always about whoever can play can play. With quarterbacks, we know. 1st-round pick, they're going to get all the opportunities in the world. I get that. But really, it's every position. Draft status matters. If Geno, because I think he was I'm pretty sure he was undrafted. But but he was such a high prospect, which made no sense to me coming out of Iowa, I remember. But then, he has a year like this, and what they're going to say is, man, you're an undrafted free agent. We only saw 1 year of that, so we're going to give you a real minimum contract. I think he got 2 years, 6 some million guaranteed on a $15 million for a middle of the field free safety on the number one defense. Now, obviously, the team is going to say all types of stuff. Well, it was because of Davion Clowney. Yeah, okay. It was because of all the blitzing. It was because of Kyle Hamilton. It was because of Humphrey. They're going to do that to him. But to me, I don't care who's around you. Skill set wise, going from the middle of the field to the sideline is not something a lot of safeties can do. And he was so smart in that system. Now, I thought he was guaranteed going to the Seahawks. They released all their safeties, his D coordinators there. I thought that's where he was going. But he goes to the Bengals. And again, Byard might be good, obviously a veteran, but I would have much rather got the Geno Stone deal. That's me. So that I feel a little weird about. Excuse me. Then we see all these guards going. And shout out to Dotson and Hunt out of Louisiana. I love them both. Hunt, good success. Dotson came on later, had to go to a new team. Both of them got a bag. Robert Hunt got a gigantic bag. So guards are getting paid. I got to think more on that. That might be saying something about that trend. But guards got paid. We didn't sniff that. It's still some second wave guys out there. Obviously, people really feel we need to get a center. Maybe Bates is that guy. And if he is, and he's solid, 5th round pick, okay, cool. Again, I'm not up in arms about that. But I will say I will feel extremely upset if we don't go after any free agent or draft or either, I should say, one of the top prospects of the interior O-line. Obviously, interior O-line probably not going to go until 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. But if we don't take a swipe at any of them, because it's not about a stopgap, it's about going forward, I will be very upset. I will be very upset because we can say whatever we want about positional value. The proof is on the field. We've seen that interior O-line position is vital. And again, players getting paid. So maybe the league is starting to see that too. So either way, we will see what we do after today in terms of the interior O-line. I told you my wish list. So seeing Hunt go, it's not great. I know some people wanted Andre James. He went back. So the top interior guys are starting to go. And we'll see. I think there's some good ones in this draft, but we will have to see. The other thing, because I got to talk crap. Bears fans, I know fans are fickle, but this is where I get confused. Because during the season, people were telling me Nate Davis was one of the best things smoking. And to the point where I had to watch some film, from that week and the week after, where I was like, okay, I see his feet moving better than I thought. And, okay, cool. I know he was unavailable for some weird reasons. And so maybe that's what people are holding against him. But I came around on Nate Davis. I didn't think he was a world beater, but I was like, man, he's a lot better in pass pro than I gave him credit for. And so we get to the offseason. Now Nate Davis is one of the worst guards. And I'm confused. Obviously there's a lot of Bears fans, but I'm talking about the exact same fans that I've seen. Oh, Nate Davis is one of the best pass win rates and blah, blah. You don't know what you're talking about. Same people. He's one of the lowest rated guards and he's terrible. And Ryan Poles screwed up. He doesn't know guards. And I'm like, wait a minute. The turntables turn fast with these fans, man. I can't keep up. I'm trying to understand how y'all were praising him and telling me how great he was, and now y'all telling me that the only person on the O-line worth it is Darnell Wright now. I'm trying to figure that out. So we'll see, because I do think they'll probably be content with having Jenkins, Bates, and Nate Davis, and pretty much the rest of the O-line we had. Barring, of course, getting some depth or potentially a rookie to come in there. I could see that. I'm not saying that's 100%, but I could see it. We'll have to see how the draft board falls out. And then lastly, Justin Fields. I told y'all, Kirk Cousins goes to the Falcons. Russ goes to the Steelers. Now, actually, I don't think I said this, but I really want y'all to understand that sports media, and I don't have the right words, and I wish I did, because I know there's words that exist. But there's certain phenomenons that happen in society and culture where when you hear things enough, it kind of becomes subconsciously true to you. And so sports media, one of the many issues I have with them is that they make narratives that get repeated so often every day that people start to believe it. No one said Justin was going to the Falcons. No one said he was going to the Steelers. What happened is they asked all these questions, and the Bears are the hot topic. Where do you think Justin should go? Well, I like him with the Falcons. Somebody says that. Then they ask the same question over and over because they got no originality, and you hear it so much that it turns into literally people commenting on my videos. Well, they said he's going there. Everybody's saying he's going there. No one said he's going there. They said that's what they would do. But the narrative gets repeated so much that people start to take it as truth. And so there was never, first of all, this is how you know it was BS. The original reason they said Justin to the Falcons, even during the season, was because Artie Smith and his system. Run heavy, run quarterback, adds to it. He was the best when Mariota was there. And so they're saying Justin could take that to a new level. And then Artie Smith gets fired, goes to the Steelers, and people are still talking about Fields to the Falcons. That's how you know it was BS. And then obviously you got the connection with Smith and the Steelers. They need a quarterback, but then there was somebody that said, oh, Tomlin mentioned that he loves Fields. And then that just runs into its own narrative. So I say that to say Steelers and Falcons were never the only options for Fields. I still think there's teams out there that could potentially go for him. And then on top of that, I would also say, as I said before, that the hottest market is going to be in season. And I'm not saying, again, that's what I would do or that's what I want to happen. But the hottest market is going to be in season. That's just objective. That's an objective truth. Right now, people have lost free agents. They're desperate. Okay, let's see what we can do in the draft. Somebody's going to miss out or not like what they got. And then somebody's going to get into the season, get an injury or have bad play, and they're going to be super desperate. But that's what I've been saying this whole time. So a lot of people making assumptions and conclusion on Justin Fields based off what's going on with the trade market, I think it's a little silly. Oh, the last thing I'll say, these Bears fans, I didn't realize, and again, I give people too much credit online. I give people too much credit. I did not realize that people were legitimately turning Caleb Williams and Justin Fields into a versus. And what I mean by that is I thought we all went into this like, man, we got so many options. I would lean towards this. This would be cool, but this would be cool if we do this too. No, people have turned it into, I want to keep Justin Fields, so I'm going to discredit everything about Caleb Williams and any of these rookie quarterbacks and anything that has to do with not keeping Justin Fields, and I'm going to attack you if you don't agree. And the vice versa is true as well. And it is insane to me that people act this way. But again, give credit to debate culture and sports media. Give credit to your president, former President Trump. People, when they don't want to hear something, they just attack it, call it fake, and then they attack the person saying it. And it's just a me versus you, which is insane. The Bears are in an excellent position, an exciting position. And I thought we were having like a real philosophical discussion about this, but no, people just dug in on the camp. I want Justin Fields to stay. I'm not going to listen to anything about Caleb Williams. I'm going to discredit anything about Caleb. And literally, you got people commenting on here attacking me because I said this is the way I'm leaning. Like, people are literally mad and like attacking you if you say you think this is what the Bears are going to do. Like, it's one thing to be like, no, I'm not sure that's what I think I see it this way. People are like, you're lying, false news, fake news. You're sitting here, you're lying to people, and you need to stop saying that the Bears are going to take Caleb Williams. They're laughing at everything you say. You're an idiot. No one said that. And it's like, what is going on? I should not be surprised, but I can't believe people are acting like that. So anyway, that's it for me. Go to the comment section. Let me know what you think. Share it around. Get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe. Remember, stay up and bear down.